ladies, it has been a while since I've been live, and I am so excited to talk about macros and social events and being on the go and tracking when you're just like running errands or going to barbecues or going out to dinner and all the things, because really, social lives, that is what really throws everyone off on a weight loss journey. Being social, going out to events and having fun with your friends and being spontaneous and doing those things. That is a woman, getting my water. That is a woman trying to lose weight's worst enemy, is navigating social situations. So ironically, COVID, a terrible, terrible thing that we are still dealing with, is a weight loss woman's dream. It takes away all the things that make it challenging. Social events and barbecues and cookouts and pool parties and eating out, all of the things go away when we were under quarantine. So now all these things are coming back for a lot of places, for a lot of areas, for a lot of people. And all of a sudden we're now having to manage macro tracking and a social life, and it is not going well. So this whole live was really prompted around a check-in I got from a client, and she was basically letting me know she had a really hard weekend and she felt that she disappointed me. Which one? Never has a client ever disappointed me. All we have to do is be honest and keep an open rapport. But she said, I couldn't stick to the macro tracking perfectly, and I just feel like I let you down and I'm really frustrated about it, even though she was mindful, exercise hunger cues, and still made excellent progress for the week. And that's what really made me, I started this conversation with her, and I'm like, okay, this actually really needs to be alive. So macro tracking on the go is a hard thing to navigate a lot of times because you don't know what's going to be available at places. So things that I've talked about a lot before. So if you are new around here, hang out in my IGTV section. There's a lot of videos in there. But basically, if you are deciding to macro track, it is your responsibility to macro track. It is your responsibility to have the foods that you need at your disposal. It is no one else's job. So even if you're going to a cookout and you assume they're going to have kebabs or chicken and you get there and they don't, that was your fault because you did not bring it, nor did you ask if they were going to have it. So if you are going to track macros, it is your responsibility to track the macros. So the best thing you want to do is be realistic about when you're going to track. And if you're going to, be smart. So, okay, if I have, 6 hours of errands to run, if I'm going to leave early in the morning, I'm going to be gone all afternoon, and I have one granola bar in my pouch or in my purse. Who has a pouch? In my purse. Is that realistically going to keep me satisfied the whole day? No. Plan to stop at a fast food place. Plan to hit up Chick-fil-A, plan to hit up Wendy's, plan to hit up a Chipotle, plan to hit up a Whole Foods. They have an entire salad section thingy or whatever. Plan to stop somewhere and get food even when you're out and on the go. That's an okay thing to do. Or if you're going to be at, a pool party, a barbecue, a cookout, ask what's going to be there. You don't have to be a totally asshole about it. Be like, hey, I'm tracking macros. Are you going to have this? Are you going to have this? I'm like, hey, what's on the menu? So excited to see you guys. What can I bring? Like, oh, that sounds good. Hey, I might actually grab a couple kebabs or something at the store. Would you want me to grab a few extra of those? Then be like, nope, already have them. Cool. You know what's going to be there. Ask things that are going to be there. So if you're going to macro track, make sure you are setting yourself up to be able to actually do so. But the entire thing that I really want to talk about today is if you're tracking macros, a lot of women accidentally make the mistake and think that literally macro tracking is the only tool you have. And if you're not tracking macros, you are doing it wrong. So women show up to events, or you have whole days or weekends that are just, maybe you're at a bachelorette party and you really just can't track your macros. Okay, so don't go there thinking you're going to try and track it, blow up in your face, and then you thinking you failed the weekend because you couldn't track macros, and then it's going to die and the whole thing is ruined. The issue is thinking that macro tracking is the only tool you have. There are going to be some instances when you just want to be social, take a step back and enjoy yourself, but not sacrifice or backslide all the way on your goals that you're working on. So remember that you have other tools in your toolbox aside from macro tracking that macro tracking has probably taught you. So what if I actually did this with the client not long ago. She was going to go to Cancun, and she was like, okay, how am I going to track? And I'm like, you're not. She was like, what? I'm not going to track. I'm like, no, they'll take the whole week off. It's totally fine. So what we talked about is all the other tools she has developed since we've started working together that line up with what macro tracking has taught you. I'm like, you know how to make a plate. You know what lean protein looks like. You know to get in some vegetables for some good fiber to stay regular with the bowel motility department. You know that it's easy to go overboard on fats and carbs, especially if you're going to be drinking. So making sure that you're being mindful and not letting yourself get too hungry so you overindulge on the food in front of you. So put macro tracking back in your purse from time to time and bring out other tools that you know that more fit the situation. So tell me if you guys have heard the quote, what is it? Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Some people think it's something like that. Don't bring the wrong tool to the wrong fight and then be disappointed why you lost. No one's going to win a gunfight with a knife, maybe unless you're some knife wizard thing, whatever. But no one's going to win that fight because you brought the wrong weapon. Bring the right weapon to the right fight. Bring the right tool to the right environment. If macro tracking is just not going to work, say, okay, macro tracking is just not going to work. Be okay with that. Bring the right tools. Maybe you bring out mindfulness. Maybe you bring out the fact that you know how to make sure you drink all your water that day. Maybe you lean on hunger cues. I've talked about this before, but not in a little while. Think of hunger like a scale. So let's say 0 out of 10, you are so hungry, you are snarling, you would probably eat a child and not even feel bad about it. You are so hungry. 10 out of 10, you are so full like that post-holiday feast. You don't even know if you have room to keep breathing. You are so uncomfortable and you swear you are just never going to eat again because you're full up to your eyeballs. That's a 10. Extremes are bad. Don't let yourself get so hungry you're snarling, but don't let yourself get so full that you are miserable. The middle ground is your safe place. So I usually tell clients aim to make sure you have a snack before you get below a 3. So don't go to dinner being starving because as soon as that bowl of chips sits down in front of you or the bread basket or anything, you're going to lose your mind. So maybe don't let your hunger get below a 3. And if you need to have a light snack on the way to dinner, maybe, a slight small handful of almonds or literally a liquid protein shake or a little bit of jerky or half of a granola bar, a protein bar, something like that, just to turn off that hunger cue a little bit so you're not snarling. That's a great place to be. So then when you get there, there's still room to enjoy your meal, but you're not just gonna go for it. And then stop eating around a 7. You're no longer hungry, but you're definitely not full. And just pause. Weird. Most people don't know this. You can put your fork down in between bites and just chew, swallow, talk for a minute, pick it back up and go back for a little bit more. Slow the hell down and let your body catch up. Stop at a 7. Give yourself a minute or 2. Drink some water. Maybe you're having a cocktail. Enjoy. Have a glass of wine. And then if you're like, I am still a little bit hungry, have a couple more bites. You can always go back for a little bit more, but you can't really undo it if you overshoot and you stop eating when you're already an 8, and then by the time your body catches up, you're at a 12 out of 10, and you're so uncomfortably full, and then no one wants to get into a bathing suit the very next day if you're on vacation and you ate your face off the night before. So macro tracking wasn't a right tool to bring to that environment. Hunger cues can play a big role. Don't get too hungry. Don't get too full. Drink your water. You know what protein looks like. You know what vegetables look like. So there are so many other tools other than macro tracking. So one of the biggest mistakes you can make in social environments is feeling like macro tracking is the only tool that you have to ever use. A lot of times you are just bringing the wrong weapon to the wrong fight. So let's talk about the other tools. So we just talked about hunger cues. 3 to a 7 is a really safe place to be. There's a lot of wiggle room there. Drinking your water, eyeballing portion sizes, making sure you have protein on your plate. Those are all really great things to do. Slowing down, chewing very mindfully, and not drinking just because everyone else is can go a long way. And last but not least, is stop eating out of serving dishes. Especially if you're at someone's house who's entertaining, there might be a candy dish or a pretzel bowl or things like that hanging out. What you don't want to do is have a conversation with the pretzel bowl or the candy dish right there so you can kind of eat while you're snacking and talking. Before you know it, the dish is like half gone. Oh my God, you didn't mean to do that. Don't have conversations right around all the serving dishes if you can help it. If you're like a grazer, I'm a grazer, so I know that's not a great place for me to be. Or if I'm at a Mexican restaurant, I do not want that bowl of chips right in front of me. If I'm at an Italian restaurant, that bread basket probably shouldn't be right in front of me. You can do pretty well controlling what is in your immediate little bubble, your arm's reach. Be protective over your space. Don't let things in your space that aren't going to bode well for you. So make yourself a plate. If I'm out to eat and we're all splitting an appetizer and I'm not bringing macro tracking to that environment, I'm bringing my hunger cues to that environment. Solid. You can do that. I'm not going to let something in my space, my safe little bubble right here, I'm not going to let something that's not going to do well by me into my protected space. So I'm going to make sure that I can honor my hunger cues, and I can do that by not eating directly out of a serving dish basket. So if we get an appetizer, chips, bread basket, whatever, I'm going to put however many, the tortilla chips, an appropriate serving, maybe even 7 to 10 chips tops on a plate. Put some either salsa, queso, guacamole, whatever you got, all the good stuff on your plate. Bring that into your immediate little bubble. Enjoy what is on your plate mindfully, and then you're done. Push the plate away. Don't go out of the serving dish. That's off limits. So being mindful of your hunger cues can be such a great thing to do. Drinking water and being protective over your immediate space. Don't let things in your space that have no business being there. I know if I literally was maybe over at my parents, maybe working there that day, and my mom has a little candy dish out and there's peanut M&Ms in there, if it is literally right there, oh, that's going to be bad, as I'm going to eat all of them. Or as if they're across the room or on a different table, I'm not going to get up and eat M&Ms all day. Make your immediate space a protected environment and only put what you want in there, and that can do a lot of good, making it a little bit harder to ignore your hunger cues, because then you have to be a little bit more intentional on going to get something. So that was the really big thing I want to hit on today with you guys. Is macro tracking is a great tool, but it is not the only tool you have on a weight loss journey. So stop bringing the wrong tool to the wrong fight. That is why a lot of times you end up feeling defeated and nothing works for me, or macro tracking is just too hard, or it's just not working. It's because it doesn't have a place in every situation, in every environment. And it's somehow we've morphed in our brains that we can bring this one way of being to every environment, and that's what works. And that is how we do things. But that's just really not the case. We don't wear the same clothes to the environment. I'm not going to wear the same thing to the beach as I wear to snowboard, as I wear to a dinner party, as I wear to bed. I change my attire based on the environment and what's going to happen. So why can't I change my approach to how I eat depending on the environment and what is going to happen? So be a little bit more fluid in your thinking with how to approach a weight loss journey, and it will bode well for you. So that is all I had, you guys. Thank you so much for joining in. If you guys have any questions, I will be fielding them all later, so drop them in the comments. See you later.